Welcome, welcome. Hello, leaders. Welcome. Come on in. And I want you to tell me what feels most true for you right now. Is it number one, you're doing more than ever, but not getting noticed? Number two, you are always busy fixing what others miss? Or number three, your visibility or career has stalled? Some of you feel like your career has stalled or lacks visibility. You're doing all the work and not getting the reward that's commensurate with that work. So even when you're knocking it out of the park, it doesn't seem like anyone cares. I know exactly who you are. You're the leader that everyone depends on, the one who holds things together when it really counts, when something goes wrong. They call you, you fix it, you step in, you're the one who stays late, you pull things together. You're always saving the day and making sure things are working in the background. You're the backbone of your team. They come to you for everything except the promotion. And that is your signal. That is the moment when you realize that you've become operationally dependable. My name is Bribiesca-Hedin, and this is how to get the recognition and advancement you deserve. This is a strategy session. You'll see exactly why recognition and advancement haven't matched your effort and what to do about it. And you're going to leave knowing that one project to focus on that makes your value visible and the simple structure that keeps recognition sustainable. So I want to start by naming what's really going on. You're always reliable, but not visible, doing a lot and receiving recognition, but not necessarily consistently. You are not alone. You're working harder than most, or at least it feels that way, especially when you're not getting the recognition, but it doesn't match your effort. I want you to notice that disconnect. That is the hidden tax of dependability. It's the cost of being the one everyone can count on. You're trusted to keep things running, but you're not trusted to set direction and shape what's next or be at that decision table. And this isn't a performance problem. It's a visibility and structure problem. These are typically the three ways that hidden tax shows up. One is a self-worth drain. You're relied on for everything, and no one really seems to realize just how much you're doing. There's a time trap, constantly fixing things. You're there after hours, available weekends. Without it, things are going to fall apart again. And then there's number three, a control gap. You second guess yourself. You replay things in your head. Even if you're fully prepared, you continue to question yourself. Every accomplished leader I coach has paid at least one of these taxes at some point. None of this means you're doing anything wrong. It means your effort is being misdirected. So I want to look at what shifts when we change the structure and focus around your work. I'm going to tell you briefly who I am, because I am absolutely that recovering operationally dependable leader myself. I've been the one holding everything together, fixing things. I was mistaking my involvement in those initiatives with being a strategist, being important. I started my career as a management consultant at Ernst & Young right out of business school, and that led to enterprise transformation and initiatives. I've also had my share of herding cats and getting other people to move in the right direction, as well as overseeing multi-million-dollar, strategies. Today, I'm an executive coach and a leadership trainer. And every client I work with has the one goal of making sure their results match their effort, because no one wants to feel like they're being undervalued or underacknowledged for their contributions. 100% of the leaders in my former group program, which was a 12-week program, the Intentional Leadership Group, they all reported improvement in their leadership index scores. 100% within 12 weeks. I share that specifically so there is research behind this and about what works. This is actually on the ground, what's working. I do know the frustration. I also know the structure that changes that feeling of invisibility and being undervalued for what you actually bring. So let me show you where the structure actually comes in. Now, every organization has a couple of leadership identities. There's the one that keeps things running that we've been talking about, the operationally dependable leader. They're known for their reliability, fixing problems, reacting to needs. And the other is the one who shapes what happens, the strategically significant leader. They're known for their direction, for their influence, and for their visible results. So they're both creating value, but one of them is getting the reward. The shift we're making today is really about moving from that dependable box to the significant box. The good news is that shift is not personality-based, it's not performance-based, it's structural. Because leadership, it gets a lot easier and a lot more effective when you have a clear way to lead and are not just doing a list of things. That busy but directionless, it's a shared experience, yes. We should all be working top of license, contributing at the highest level we can, and getting recognition and the reward that goes along with that contribution. So this is the structure. I call it the strategic path, and it's a framework that helps you focus on what counts, building repeatable ways of working, and staying grounded even when things get chaotic and everything around you shifts. It starts with strategy, and that's identifying and focusing what actually matters at your level. Then there's systems. That's the consistent ways of working that make your progress visible and sustainable, so everything doesn't live in your head. And then finally, there's support. That's the feedback, the pressure testing, the course correction, the accountability that keeps you sharp and on track when things go off the rails, pressure builds, etc. And when these three work together, and you'll see exactly how, leadership stops feeling like you're just firefighting or reacting or busy but directionless, and it starts to feel intentional. This is how leadership gets easier, more consistent, more valuable, more recognized. Let's start with strategy. And that begins with clarity. Clarity about what really counts, who it counts for, and what about that is visible to the people making decisions. A lot of you are excellent at execution, but you're not getting what you believe comes next. Working hard, just overinvested in the wrong work. Strategy, it is clarity in action. It's how you take what you identified as what matters most and align your time, attention, and energy toward that. This alignment is important between recognizing what actually counts and your work aligning with that. Effort without alignment ends up being a lot of invisible work. You're working on the important or the urgent. The second foundation is systems. It's a consistent way of working that makes progress repeatable and visible. Without systems, every success you have depends on you personally holding it all together. And if you want to scale or do more, it's on your back. It's on additional effort. Clearly, without systems, your work is not scalable, it's not sustainable, and by no means is it strategic. But systems transfer those ways of working, the things you've learned from your head into the way that your team, your colleagues, or your own department works. Everyone knows what good looks like. They know how to do this without needing to have the same conversation over and over again. Finally, now to the last one. Even the absolute best systems only work when you have support, because you won't have a system for everything. It's not about encouragement or help. It's a structure to keep clear and to stay on track and to make high-quality decisions even when things around you are uncertain or chaotic. Support gives you the feedback, the perspective, the accountability, the checks and balances, a safe sounding board, things that keep you grounded. It's what helps you pressure test ideas before you take them to senior leaders and have someone roll their eyes. It's what helps you separate emotion from strategy when things are starting to get tense or feel personal. And it's also what keeps you focused on growth instead of just reacting and trying to survive. Here's where a lot of leaders get stuck, though. There's some common mistakes that even high-performing leaders make. It keeps them from reaching the type of recognition and results that their work really does demand. The very first mistake is doing a great job at the wrong things. You're perfecting the formatting on the executive update deck instead of shaping the narrative that you need people to understand in order to influence next quarter's priorities. You're producing outputs that no one values. You're staying busy in details that are not at your level because you're too busy keeping things running to actually build influence with the decision makers. That's how strong leaders get trapped in the dependable trap. Maybe it's not fair that you need to have influence. Maybe it's not fair that you need to have these critical relationships, and yet it's what's real. Now, you fix this by defining just what matters most in your organization at your level, and then make your work visible where the decisions are made. The second mistake happens when systems are missing. You're leading or working without repeatable ways of working. Without systems, every single win or every little bit of progress depends on you personally holding it together. Progress depends on your constant involvement and babysitting. That means that you can't step back long enough to think strategically, to nurture those relationships with the folks who make decisions about the kind of resources and opportunity that are going to be made available to you, your projects, or your department. And the way we fix this is by putting those simple, repeatable systems in place. Things keep moving even when you're not in the room. So you know those emergency surprises that keep showing up every month? Those are on autopilot. They're no longer an emergency. The third mistake, it happens when support is missing. Support is not about help, but it is about operating in a silo. When you're trying to figure everything out yourself, leadership gets really exhausting. You start second-guessing your decisions. You replay conversations. Did I do that right? Did I say that right? And then you start to make these big, important, consequential calls without a sounding board. So then even the little things start to feel really political or risky. You don't know if you're stepping into a landmine. That's what happens when you're operating in a silo. There's no feedback loop. There's no perspective. There's no space to think out loud before taking action. It's hard to find spaces that are agenda-free, but the result is you're surrounded by people, but with no one you can talk to who really gets it. You fix this by building in consistent, trusted, agenda-free support. People who can challenge your thinking, even if it bristles a little bit, expand your perspective, and keep you anchored when things get messy. Because leadership is not a solo sport. Without support, even the strongest, most capable leaders start to question themselves. So which feels real for you? If you can fix even one of these, it changes how you lead. It changes how you're seen. And of course, it changes how you spend your time. So take a second, notice which of these feels more real for you. There's power in just naming it, because once you can see the gap, you can start to close it. This is the strategic significance matrix. It shows you how your visibility and your strategic relevance work together to shape your recognition, advancement, and opportunities, and the resourcing your department gets, and the tables you get to sit at. So up and down, this is where we have the visibility of your work. How much of your effort and impact is actually seen by the people who make the decisions about the opportunity, the resourcing, the advancement. And then across the bottom, we have enterprise strategic alignment. How much your work aligns with what the organization considers important. That part is key. It's not about what you think is strategic. It's about what the enterprise thinks is strategic. One of my clients was spending about a quarter of her week addressing data quality issues, but senior leadership wasn't thinking about data quality. They didn't want to hear her talking about fields and reports. They were thinking, how quickly can we reach out to new prospects? So once she stopped talking about the data fields and started talking about speed to contact, her influence skyrocketed, because suddenly when she spoke, they thought, oh, she gets it. She totally gets it. Same work, different framing, and completely different perception. And that's why perception is at the center of this matrix. It's the gap between what you're doing and how it's perceived in terms of value. So let's quickly walk through each of these. Starting at the bottom, if your work is low visibility and low strategic relevance, you're in the invisible and misaligned quadrant. So this happens when you're saying yes to all and you're taking whatever work comes your way instead of deliberately filtering for projects and tasks that align with enterprise priorities. We're trying to be helpful, but all work is not created equal. There's nothing like knocking it out of the park over and over again and feeling like it doesn't matter to anyone but you. Now, if you're working on high priority initiatives, but no one really sees your impact, that's strategically unseen. So you're doing the right work, but you're doing it in the dark. This happens when your work is buried under layers of visibility, like when you're solving problems, but someone else presents the results. The story of that impact never reaches decision makers. You're the organization's best kept secrets. If you are visible, but known mostly as a fixer or doer, then that's visible but operational. You're known for rescuing projects, running things, fixing things, and being efficient, but you're not known for setting direction and strategy, right? So you're trusted, dependable, essential, but you're not influential. And this is, of course, where we want to be, and that's strategically significant. So your worth is both, it's visible, it's aligned with enterprise priorities, your contributions are actually informing or shaping decisions. I mean, that's when recognition finally catches up to all of that contribution and effort. This is a quick exercise we're going to do. Draw a line down the center on that piece of paper. Write down the top initiatives or priorities for your organization, what they're focused on, what they're talking about, what they're spending money on. And then I want you to jot down the things that you work on. Those projects, those meetings, functions, or tasks where you spend most of your time each week. If you had to circle just one project or area where your time and the organization's priorities actually meet, what would it be? Then we want to be strategic about how we're engaging in that piece of work. Is there just a gap? And there is no overlap. What are you spending your time on that isn't really showing up on the enterprise radar? That's essentially a secret. So this quick check helps you see where your biggest opportunity is to move toward the right side of the matrix we just looked at. The shift that makes how you spend your time start working for you instead of against you. So you've seen the three foundational elements. You've seen how they work together. Every single leader who's made the shift from overlooked to being influential did it by aligning how they lead with these three elements. And at some point, every leader reaches this exact moment, the moment where hard work is not the problem anymore. They're excellent at execution. It's direction. So now you have a choice. There are two paths that eventually every leader is going to face. The first being the familiar one, where you keep on figuring it out yourself, keep thinking if you work harder, things are going to work out. You keep on paying the dependability tax. And then the second path is the strategic path that we've been walking through. You use structure instead of willpower. You lead with clarity, with focus, with systems that make success visible and repeatable and manageable. So same effort, completely different outcome. One path keeps you firefighting and feeling like you're busy but directionless. The other moves you forward on purpose. And the leaders changed how their careers were working, and they didn't wait for things to get easier. They chose the strategic path intentionally. Let me show you what that looks like. I want to introduce you to the Unshakable Leader. It's a 12-month strategic leadership and influence collective. It's for experienced leaders who want to expand their impact, their recognition, and their effectiveness. You've already proven you can execute. You've already proven you can lead. Now it's about leading in a way that feels easier and more strategic and much harder to overlook. It's built on the same three foundations we've been talking about: strategy, systems, and support, working together to make your leadership stronger and steadier, more visible. And here's why this works. It's built for reality. I understand it may not be fair that the person who works the hardest or puts out the highest quality work isn't the one getting recognized. And yet, we want to be able to excel in this real world, even if we recognize it's not fair. It's built for reality, not theory. It works when things are messy and uneven and people are unfair and priorities are shifting and reorgs keep happening and there are limited competing resources. It's strategy first, so there's no more trial and error or guessing what actually is important here. The structure moves with you through reorgs, through promotions, and every new season and shift in your leadership. This is not another course of concepts. This is your leadership operating system. It's a rhythm, a way of working that keeps you growing and visible and steady and, dare I say, almost peaceful, no matter what is happening around you. Right? You're not going to lose your head over it. So every month, you'll move through 4 core components, each one designed to solve the problems that keep leaders stuck. So first is your monthly leadership protocol. You know that constant feeling of, if I don't hold it together, then everything's going to fall apart. That's what these fix. They give you simple, repeatable structures that stabilize how you lead and how you make progress visible. Because when success and that kind of progress is built into your systems, your leadership stops depending on willpower and it starts running on structure. The second piece, that's strategic decision making and the mindset reset. Because sometimes you don't need more time in your day. You need better thinking and better decision making. These short, high impact sessions, they sharpen how you decide, how you prioritize, how you lead, and the way you approach your work. They help you separate the noise and the chaos and the distractions from strategy so that you stay focused on what actually moves the needle, again, at your level. And that's when people start describing you differently. You're not the one who keeps things running. They'll start saying you're the strategic one. Next, you'll have the live coaching and leadership roundtable calls, the kind of high trust space where you can bring real challenges and workshop them right away and distinguish your next steps and refine your strategy and figure out the words you're going to use to communicate that difficult message. So you get perspective, accountability, honest feedback without politics and without pretense. It's the kind of support that keeps you grounded, even when, again, they announce yet another reorg. And then at the end of each month, this guided assessment, and planning session, it helps you celebrate progress, highlight the lessons learned, and you'll plan what's next. So every month starts smarter and takes into account any challenges that emerged along the way. It's that pausing and assessing that makes growth deliberate instead of just a reaction. So most leaders skip this step, and that's why you stay on the treadmill. And then finally, this is important, once every quarter, we'll zoom out for kind of strategic focus and planning review. It's where the alignment, the clarity comes together, but on a larger canvas, so that you're being specific and deliberate about assessing what has worked to date. Are my goals still the same? So these 90-day reviews are meant to help you connect daily leadership, how you spend your time, to the outcomes that you're actually trying to make happen. You leave with a plan that makes your next quarter feel really on purpose, as opposed to leaving it to chance. So when you put all of these together, the protocols, the strategy reset, the coaching, the quarterly reviews, you're not just improving as a leader, you're actually building your leadership operating system. And this is what sustainable leadership looks like. It's not about doing more. It's about leading in a way that finally makes sense. So I wanted to briefly take you through what your first 30 days would look like inside the program. So week 1, you'll complete your leadership index assessment and get clarity and set a baseline on your strengths, your blind spots. By week 2, you're already applying your first leadership protocol. We do this very quickly and creating some breathing room in your daily work. By week 3, you're showing up to the leadership roundtable with real examples, as well as any challenges that are emerging and that you want to workshop. And then by week 4, we're doing that quick step back to assess what worked, celebrating progress, and planning next steps. So now you have an idea of what it looks like to be inside. Here's what it takes to be a part of the Unshakable Leader. This is a structure. It isn't about adding more to your plate. It's about installing a rhythm that keeps you steady and visible and effective and confident. Now, for reference, my 12-week leadership program was $3,750. I wanted the Unshakable Leader to be something that's more supported for the long term, but also accessible to more of the leaders who need this work. And that was really important to me. So if you apply today, your founding round rate is only $199 a month for 12 months. Or for those who prefer to pay in advance, it's $2,000 paid in advance. You save almost $400, $388, I think it is. Both include a full year of strategy, systems, and support, everything we just walked through together, right? To make leadership easier, more visible, valued, confident. Everything we've covered today is included when you join the Unshakable Leader. So you'll have full access to the tools, any replays of any of the sessions we hold, because I fully expect busy leaders to be on all different schedules, your private member portal, where you'll actually have an opportunity to confer with other members, your leadership protocols that you can access on demand, and then, of course, community support. When you join during this founding round, you're going to keep this price for as long as you decide to stay with us. Now, that matters because the 12-month program price will move to $3,750 to match the value of the 3-month leadership program. It's the best rate that the program will be offered at. And because this is a founding round, I wanted to add a particular bonus. When you apply and decide to join this round, you're going to get an invitation to a live influence strategy design session. Influence strategy is one of the most amazing advantages that leaders I work with have. Now, in this session, we're going to co-design your personal influence plan so you can start applying immediately. It's just such a powerful way to start the Unshakable Leader, already demonstrating that strategic visibility that we've been talking about without second-guessing yourself. And it'll get you applying the work right away. So let's talk about how to join, because I want this process to feel as intentional and supported as the other things we've talked about today. You go to bridgewellpro.com/apply. When you go to that URL, it'll take you to a short application that takes about 5 minutes to complete. Once you apply, you're going to be invited to schedule your strategic alignment call. It's a 15-minute quick call with me. We're going to talk through your goals and just confirm whether the Unshakable Leader is the right structure for your next step in leadership and what you want for your career. If we both agree it seems like a fit, then you're going to get a link inviting you to enroll and get immediate access to the Leadership Index, which you'll take right away, your first monthly protocol, and the member portal. That's it. No long interviews, no sales calls. It's just clarity, alignment, and then your next step forward. Now, I know you did not come here to keep things the same. You came because you're ready to lead differently. Apply now. Let's make sure the Unshakable Leader is the right structure for your next cycle. And at that point, you can decide. Every day you stay independable, you are limiting your results for yourself, for your team, for your future, for your opportunities. Every successful leader eventually recognizes the need to go from dependable to strategic. The Unshakable Leader is where that happens. It's for those capable leaders stepping into being strategically significant. So thank you for spending this time with me today. Thank you for showing up for your leadership, for your future. If you've been nodding along while I've been talking, this is your next step. Go to bridgewellpro.com/apply, submit your application now while this round is open, and we'll confirm whether this looks like the next right step for you. You did not show up today to keep things the same. You showed up to lead differently.